Good morning. It is such an honor to join all of you here today, and I really have to take my hat off to each and every one of you. It is so easy to pick something else to do today. I'm sure many of you might have even been second guessing when you woke up this morning or your alarm went off and said, gosh, should I be doing this? Why am I spending my day this way? And others of you may be jumping out of bed, getting ready to go. But I really want to compliment each and every one of you for making time today to learn something new, expand your network, and align to what is possible. Because I can assure you that this is not easy. It's not easy to step outside your comfort zone. Many of you may be intimidated or fearful or even talking yourself out of it come the break today. But I assure you that it is worth sticking with it, not just for the great technology that you're going through today, but to build your self-efficacy. Now, many of you may be thinking, what is that? Some of you may have heard of that, but I can inform you a little bit about how important it is for people that pursue tech degrees and careers and people that stay in STEM. In fact, the National Center for Women in Technology really focuses on studying self-efficacy and its correlation to people that stay inside of tech or that leave tech and other STEM-related fields. And the great thing is self-efficacy is learned. So taking time today and joining all of us is building your self-efficacy. So what is it? What is self-efficacy? Well, self-efficacy is having a vision for where you want to go and believing you can achieve it. Believing you can achieve it. And it starts in things just like this, going places that you're not really sure who's going to be there or what exactly you're going to be doing, but you believe that it is important for you to stretch in new ways and that you'll figure it out. One of the big surprises, I guess, for me in technology, I've spent technology since 1993, is that most people don't have it figured out. In fact, technology changes so fast that many people can get discouraged, their self-doubt can get in the way, and they can even remove themselves before they get started in the industry. But let me assure you that everyone is feeling that way. And these types of opportunities of learning more about emerging technologies is a critical step to teaching yourself that you can figure it out. And when you believe you can figure it out, not that you have the answers, not that you have it all figured out, and not even that you have all the requirements on a particular job description, having the confidence that you can figure it out increases your self-efficacy. And so self-esteem is how you feel. Self-confidence is what you do. Self-efficacy is what you believe is possible. And being here with all of us today is one more notch in your self-efficacy belt. And I can assure you that the people that stay in tech and related careers have higher self-efficacy because the environments change so quickly. Things are happening. There's name changes, customers change, product integration. All of those things are often unknown to many of us. But many of us here that have been in the industry for 5, 10, 15, 20 years believe we have the smarts and the wit to figure it out. So I want to congratulate you again. And I want to share with you just a few tips about things that may help you later on in your career. So as I mentioned, I've been in tech for over 20 years. And I ended up falling into a computer information systems degree. And I had a great professor that kept me motivated and often sponsored me for internships and encouraged me when I thought it gets difficult. Because in fact, I have dyslexia, and so oftentimes it's very difficult for me to code because I switch things around. And I'm often, especially audibles, I switch what I hear and say with numbers, and it can get quite difficult when you're trying to compile. But in my career, I've had great mentors and sponsors helping me really make it possible And I worked really hard. I worked really hard to get to know the information. I studied at night. I watched videos. I even read books, and I went to conferences, events, and activities just like you're at today. And through that process, I learned different ways to problem solve, to network with people that had the information, and to ask good questions. And in doing so, most projects I could get across the line. Now, I don't have all my stories are success stories, but what I learned is that I was able to get it done by just putting a lot of hard work and grit into it. So I can assure you that if you're here today and you have activities like this to build your self-efficacy, that you too can excel in this career. The couple other things that I learned along the way. So as I was finishing up my computer science degree, I applied to many companies. And many of them I was offered positions, but there were one or two particular jobs that I was incredibly interested in pursuing. And unfortunately, after those jobs came back, I received a small envelope in the mail. You know, the really, really thin ones, the ones that said thank you, but no thank you. Well, what I had learned in my program is that just keep at it. If you can't figure out the code the first time, just keep at it. You will eventually figure it out. And if you can't do it yourself, get help. So I went back to my professors and we talked about not getting these jobs. And when I was walking home that day back to my dorm room, I decided I was going to apply again. But at this time, I was not going to apply in the city I live, but I was going to apply in Atlanta, Chicago, Charlotte, Phoenix, and San Diego, believe it or not. And so I applied to all these cities. And through the process of reapplying, I re-interviewed for the position. And the second time around, I was actually offered the job. And so the second thing I learned through the process of sticking with it is that every no is closer to a yes. Every no is closer to the yes. And for the many of you that read or watch TV shows, many of the people that are authors or publishers or screenplay writers, they often get no's before they get yeses. And I think just continuing to work at it and realizing that many no's that you'll receive in your career are often no, not now, not no forever. So this is some lesson that I have taken on to many aspects of my career. And I've encouraged many, many people to keep at it, ask again, position yourself in the right way. Because many of us feel like once we try once and we get that no, then we should probably move on to something else. But if it's something you believe in and you feel like it's important to you, my advice is to keep at it. Go around the corner and go try to go in the side door, crawl up on the roof and get in the window. Whatever it takes, if it's really important to you, is to keep at it. Now, a couple other things I want to share with you before I part ways is that women and men go about working a little bit differently. And in fact, we measure ourselves a little bit differently. And one of the things that I think it's important to recognize is that men and women write their resumes even differently. So as you're thinking about your career today, moving forward, remember that we all go about jobs and how we position ourselves. We may not all use the same metrics or the same descriptive words, but I think it's important for women to know that we use twice as many words on a resume as a man, but only a third of the detail. Men are really spectacular at documenting their accomplishments and putting metrics to it. So whether it's number of people, amount of customers, the amount of revenue, how much code they've compiled, how many products they've developed, men are better at putting metrics in their resumes. So as you guys are thinking about positioning for the workplace, especially in a tech career, have people help you with their resume. You can hire a career counselor or a resume writer. There are many folks that I recommend. Kathy Posner is one of them. But really thinking about how you're writing your resume. Your resume is the first glimpse they get at whether or not they think you can do the job. And what I've learned in my career is that many people want to hire folks that can hit the ground running. So write your resume in a way that highlights your accomplishments and don't hold back from metrics. Anytime you can add metrics, please do so. The other thing you want to know about resumes and job descriptions is that you often don't have to have all the qualifications on a job description. And in fact, when men apply for jobs, they generally read a job description, and if they have 60% of the requirements, they apply. Women, Well, women are a little different. Women go through job descriptions with a fine-tooth comb, and they highlight all the things that they know, and they definitely focus in on the things they don't know. Well, let me tell you, when people write job descriptions, oftentimes they're cutting and pasting into from a general database. So they don't spend a lot of time thinking, well, do I absolutely need that, or would that be a nice to have? So if you're looking at job descriptions and you have 60 to 70% of the requirements, my advice is to apply. Because as I mentioned before, people have no problem at all giving you a no. And if it's something that you really want, like I did, apply again. Maybe get a Coursera course, or find someone who already works in the organization to help sponsor you into that position or into that interview process. Don't take no for an answer if it's really important to you. And if you have the opportunity to meet with people to talk about it that are already in the organization, I encourage you to do that. Which leads me to one of my last points, but actually one of the more important points. Your network is going to make or break where you go in your life. People hire people, people fire people, people connect people. And if you're just going to go in and do the work, that is great. You'll be an excellent employee. But oftentimes we need a network of people to help tell us about job opportunities, help us get promoted, help us get better projects, or even just give us advice on how to maneuver a particular project or launch or migration. And so for all of you sitting here today, get to know somebody in the room today that you don't know. Get to know one of the speakers, get to know one of the professors that may be walking around today. It's important to expand and enhance your network any opportunity you get. And, for many of us, it's not just about the work we're doing. When I wrote my first book, The Working Woman's GPS, I had never written a book before. In fact, I didn't even know someone who wrote a book. So I actually use LinkedIn as a tool to find people that are already doing things that I want to do. I researched many, many authors, and I also joined many groups on LinkedIn that were for new authors and authors that are on their fifth book. I joined as many groups as I could. I watched all the posts and the responses. I really started to admire a few people that were participating in these groups. And I actually reached out to them and said, hey, I'm writing my first book. I could use a little help on figuring out how to publish it. Would you have 15 minutes? And it's amazing the people that I met through this process. Many of them said yes to my request. And I ended up meeting a few of them in person after I published my book. So if you have aspirations to do big things, find people that are already ahead of you. Ask them for help. Find ways to connect with people that can give you advice on their career path. I always say, even if they can't meet you in person, they can oftentimes fit in a 15-minute conference call or direct call where you could reach out and ask a few questions about their career. Because what I've learned in the process is that as you move through your career, you need mentors that give you advice. Sometimes you have to hire a coach using your own money to get guidance and structure and details about what you want to do. But most times you need a sponsor. And a sponsor is somebody who uses their social capital for you to open doors, make connections, and maybe even get on a short list of jobs you're interested in. So the three types of career catalysts that I often recommend are career coaches. Those are folks you invest in. They might be someone who helps you put your resume together or practice interview questions or just talks about your career. There's mentors. Those are often free. They're people in your network that give you advice and guidance when you're with them. But when the meeting's over, usually the conversation's over. And then there's sponsors. And sponsors are folks that are mentors, but after the meeting's over, a sponsor might make a phone call on your behalf, send an email, connect you to somebody on LinkedIn. These are folks in your network that are going to help you by using their social capital to help pave a path for where you want to go. So hopefully this was helpful. I encourage you to meet new people while you're here, try new things, fail, and continue to push forward. If you want to reach me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn under JJ DiGeronimo or my company, Tech Savvy Women. I'm really excited to spend this time with you, and I hope that we cross paths in person. Thank you very much and have a really great day.